Hey guys, we're going to be talking about um, actually nothing related to this video that's in the background. We're going to be talking about playing time, substitutions, and the differences between futsal, soccer, and other sports. In no means is this video in response to any negative talk from about playing time on teams or anything like that. It's just this is an important thing to understand about futsal. Um, Sometimes it's difficult to understand, um, maybe how coaches make decisions or how we make decisions. And so this is just um, trying to let our players and parents understand a little bit about futsal culture. We don't have a ton of futsal culture. Um, Futsal culture comes from, having years of players playing futsal, seeing it played at a high level, um, and all these things. And we're in the beginning years of creating a futsal culture and understanding playing time and substitutions and matchups is just one small element of developing a good futsal culture. So I wanted to go into basically my perspective on um, how I make substitutions, how I see playing time, etc. So the first thing to understand is there is no restriction in substitutions in futsal. This makes it so different than soccer. In soccer, the best 11 players are on the field to start. That's it. Because you only have a couple substitutions. So there is never going to be a scenario in soccer where a player who is really good is not going to start. In futsal, this is so different. In futsal, there's no restriction on substitutions. So in fact, sometimes you hear me talk about this player, Diego from Barcelona. He's my favorite futsal player. He sometimes doesn't start the game. He is like the best futsal player in the world. Okay. There's other times where a guy, his name is Lozano or Farao or Daniel, very good players, don't start the game sometimes because what the coach is trying to do is he's trying to set matchups with the other team. So he might organize one lineup to play in foreign line. And then when he brings in Diego, they'll switch to 3-1 with heavy isolation. And then when Farao is in the game, then they'll play heavy into the pivot because Farao is the best pivot in the world. And then when they take these players out, then they switch back to foreign line or they change from 3-1 in the game to foreign line. And it's all based on matchups, who they have in the game, and compared to who the other team has in the game. And so if a player doesn't start the game, it doesn't mean that, oh, they're not good or whatever. It just means that we might be organizing our lineups in comparison with the other team. Now, when it comes to length of time on the court, this is something that really is like a fundamental difference between futsal and all other sports. You could say that it's similar to hockey, but it's really not because hockey has line changes and futsal doesn't have line changes. So, um, in futsal, usually the time on the court is going to be anywhere from 3 minutes to 6 minutes, 7 minutes max. Okay, the reason why the time is shorter is because whenever you defend, you need to be accelerating the game, and that requires a ton of energy. It requires so much running when you're defending that usually players should be lasting anywhere from 3 minutes to 7 minutes, 8 minutes max. If a player is staying on the court the whole game, all right, this is usually seen as a negative thing. It means that the coach or us, we don't think there's any other player that's able to play that position in a way that's satisfactory to the team. So we have to leave that player on the whole game. You shouldn't think, oh wow, I'm on the court the whole game. This is a good thing. It's not. It's not a good thing. It's actually a bad thing. It's a negative thing for a team to have a player that stays on the whole game. Because as the game progresses, it doesn't matter how fit the player is. They're going to, get in a yellow zone, red zone, and then their performance is going to drop. It's science. It's not doesn't have anything to do with the player. So when we have players, I'm going to take our 2005 boys team for instance. The past couple of years, Isaiah Darnell has played pretty much every minute of every game because we did not have a player that could play his position. Now we're transitioning into lineups where he doesn't need to play the whole game. This is a positive thing. It's not that he's gotten worse. No, it's that he now is able to take a rest so that he can accelerate the game better defensively. Typically, attacking in futsal is no big deal. You could play, 10 minutes, no problem if you just had to attack. The problem is that you also have to defend. So when players say, "Oh, coach, I only was on the court 3 minutes, 4 minutes. What did I do wrong?" You didn't do anything wrong. If you still feel fresh after 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and you feel like maybe you didn't do anything in the game, the question you should be asking yourself is, how much energy are you expelling on the defensive part of the game? Or I shouldn't say expending on the defensive part of the game. How much are you accelerating the game defensively? Because you have to play both ways. You can't just play attacking. You have to play defending as well. And if you watch the other video about accelerating the game, you will realize every time the opposing team passes the ball, we need to be accelerating the game. We need to be closing the space, and that takes so much energy. So if you're on the court 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and you go, "Wow, I was taken off, I must be doing a bad job." No, that's a typical rotation. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And if you feel like I wasn't on the court a long time, or I have more to give, don't just think about the attacking side. Think about the defending side. It is so important that we accelerate the game defensively, and that takes a ton of energy. And this is a hard concept to grasp because rarely do we play against a team that accelerates the game against us. I can't think of one game at regionals when this happened. Not one. In every circumstance, the other team usually sat in a zone behind half. It's crazy. This is not a typical practice of futsal on high levels. And honestly, it's a result of that the court size is an illegal size. You cannot play on a basketball sized court. It's illegal. You can't. It's like saying you're going to play 11v11 soccer on a field that's 90 yards by 50 yards. You can't do it. It's if somebody showed up to a soccer game and the field was that size, everybody would go home. They wouldn't allow them to play it. In futsal, people don't know any better, and so they just do it. The official size of a court, minimum standards, is around 115 feet long by 60 feet wide. Okay, what we play on at regionals is 90 feet by 50 feet. So the minimum standard, we're short by like 25 feet in length and by 10 feet in width, which is crazy. And because of this small court size, teams can get away with sitting in a zone behind half. But this almost never happens on a professional futsal level or on just an actual futsal level. It almost never happens. So I'm saying all that to try to build an understanding with our teams that sitting in a zone defensively is not the way that we play. And we need to be way better at accelerating the game defensively and playing both sides of the ball. And this leads into playing time. So as we move forward, we might be making quicker substitutions, shorter time frames on the court, and this is not because a player is doing bad. This is because we must do a better job playing both sides of the game.